The sun had long since dipped below the horizon, leaving the sky awash in shades of deep purple and midnight blue. Most people were settling into their homes for the night, but not me. I had run out of groceries earlier in the day and couldn't bear the thought of facing another morning without my beloved coffee. So with a sigh and a shrug of my shoulders, I grabbed my coat and headed out into the chilly night air. The streets were deserted as I made my way to the nearest convenience store, the only sound the soft crunch of snow beneath my boots. It was a peaceful night, the kind of night that made you feel like you were the only person left in the world. But that feeling of solitude was shattered when I turned the corner and saw it. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light, a shadow cast by a passing car or a stray dog roaming the streets. But as I drew closer, I realized with a jolt of fear that it was something far more sinister. Standing in the middle of the sidewalk was a creature unlike anything I had ever seen before. Its skin was a sickly shade of gray, stretched tight over its emaciated frame. Its eyes, two glowing orbs of yellow-green, seemed to pierce through the darkness, locking onto mine with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. For a moment I was frozen in place, unable to tear my eyes away from the creature's gaze. Fear gripped me like a vice, squeezing the breath from my lungs and sending my heart racing in my chest. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to get as far away from this thing as possible, but something held me rooted to the spot, unable to move. And then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the creature turned and fled, disappearing into the shadows with a speed that defied explanation. With a strangled cry, I turned and ran in the opposite direction, my heart pounding in my chest as I raced through the empty streets, the sound of my own panicked breaths echoing in my ears. I didn't dare look back, afraid of what I might see if I did. I ran until my legs felt like they would give out beneath me, until my lungs burned with exertion and my vision blurred with tears. And then finally I burst through the doors of the convenience store, gasping for breath and trembling with fear. As I stood there, trying to calm my racing heart and steady my shaking hands, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had narrowly escaped a fate worse than death. The memory of the creature's piercing gaze haunted me, filling me with a sense of dread that lingered long after the adrenaline had faded. From that day on, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that the creature was still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The streets that had once felt like home now seemed like a maze of dark alleys and hidden dangers, each corner hiding a new terror waiting to be unleashed. But amidst the fear and uncertainty, there was also a sense of wonder, the knowledge that there are still mysteries in this world, still wonders waiting to be discovered. And though I may never fully understand what I saw that night, one thing is certain: it was an experience that would stay with me for the rest of my days. As I stood there in front of the convenience store, trying to catch my breath and calm my racing heart, I couldn't shake the feeling of disbelief that washed over me. Had I really just encountered a creature straight out of a horror movie? The rational part of my mind tried to convince me that it had all been a figment of my imagination, a trick of the darkness playing tricks on my mind, but deep down, I knew the truth. The memory of those glowing yellow-green eyes seemed burned into my mind, haunting me with their intensity. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had stumbled upon something otherworldly, something that didn't belong in our world. And the way it had looked at me, as if it could see right through to my soul, sent shivers down my spine. As I made my way back home, every shadow seemed to hold a hidden threat, every sound sending a jolt of fear coursing through my veins. I kept glancing over my shoulder, half expecting to see the creature lurking in the darkness, ready to pounce at any moment. It was a feeling of paranoia unlike anything I had ever experienced before, and it only served to heighten my sense of unease. When I finally reached the safety of my apartment, I locked the door behind me and sank down onto the couch, my mind racing with a million questions. What was that thing? Where had it come from? And most importantly, was it still out there, waiting for me to let my guard down so it could strike? I spent the rest of the night tossing and turning, unable to shake the feeling of dread that hung over me like a dark cloud. Sleep eluded me, my mind filled with images of that creature lurking in the shadows, its eyes glowing with malevolent intent. In the days that followed, I found myself avoiding going out after dark, afraid of what I might encounter in the darkness. The streets that had once felt safe and familiar now seemed like a labyrinth of hidden dangers, each shadow hiding a new terror waiting to be unleashed. But despite my fear, there was also a sense of curiosity, a burning desire to uncover the truth behind the creature I had encountered. I scoured the internet for any mention of similar sightings, desperate for answers that never seemed to come. And though part of me longed to forget the whole ordeal and go back to living my life as if nothing had happened, I knew that I could never truly put it behind me. For better or for worse, the memory of that night would stay with me forever, a constant reminder of the thin veil that separates our world from the darkness that lies beyond. And though I may never fully understand what I saw that night, one thing is certain: it changed me in ways I could never have imagined.